There it is. So we're up on YouTube. I guess I should start talking. I get to doing stuff and I forget we're actually on the air when he tells me we're on the air. We'll be up a little second here. You'll hear the intro. We'll get on Facebook and we'll get her kicked off for today. There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5 on Newswire, Facebook, Twitch, and Jesse looks forward to every day we're on YouTube. Of that until the latest session we get rolled from that. But until that day, enjoy us while we're on there while you can. As everything else, nothing's going on. We should, maybe we'll talk about puppy dogs and kittens and things all day today. And we should have a picture of that coming up on that. No, we'll get to we'll catch some border news today. Some Georgia state official protesting, getting escorted under handcuffs out of the Georgia Capitol. So we'll have that video coming up on that. Lots of stuff going on. Just some of the stuff that people post up here are new stuff. Hoover Institution on how California is hosing us and our kids and everything else that's going on. But fallout from the shooting in Columbus, Ohio, which took place yesterday. And the reporting that goes on is just absolutely out of this world. 16-year-old killed by police. This is none other than the NBC Nightly News running their propaganda clip of what went on. Here's Lester Holt as he reported the shooting of a 16-year-old who was getting ready to stab another human being.
Just before yesterday's verdict, a police officer shot and killed a 16-year-old black girl in Columbus, Ohio, saying she was threatening others with a knife. Police body cam video was quickly released. Our Kevin Tibbles has that story, and I need to caution you, the images are difficult to watch.
Police body cam video shows Micaiah Bryant's final moments when a Columbus, Ohio police officer responding to a call gets out of his car and seconds later fatally shoots the...
Okay, we're going to stop right there for a second. Cop comes on the scene, already seeing one person on the ground, another standing over her, one behind, two to her left, or right, probably in this case. The one with the knife that you will see in a little bit. And then the one who was the perpetrator of attack. Attempted stabbing. We're going to play the slow motion clip of this. Attempted stabbing. Here we go. We're going to play more of the clip from Lester Holt on NBC News.
16-year-old girl. Authorities say Bryant was threatening two other girls with a knife.
It's a tragedy. There's no other way to say it. It's a 16-year-old girl.
Officer Nicholas Reardon, who joined the force in December of 2019, was responding to a 911 call.
We need a police officer here now.
Video shows Reardon approaching a group of young people in this driveway.
What the video shows is the female with the knife attempting to stab the first female.
Reardon fires his weapon 4 times, striking Bryant. Officers are seen and heard performing CPR. Body camera footage shows a knife on the ground. The city released video from the incident within hours and launched an independent investigation.
We have to ask ourselves, what information did the officer have? What did he see? How much time did he have to assess the situation?
Now, this guy's a hoot. He comes up there asking that Ned Petless, Columbus, Ohio Public Safety Director. We have to ask ourselves, was she intending to stab the other person? This is absolutely ridiculous. How this guy got to be Ohio Public Safety Director, I sure as heck want to know. This was fairly obvious of what went on in this. Here we go with the rest of the video.
Would have happened if he had taken no action at all.
The Columbus mayor pushing for...
What do you mean, you ding-dong? If he had taken no action at all? She was... The one who was in the pink was about 0.2 of a second from getting stabbed with a very large knife. And in most cases, and especially in close combat, knives can be even much more lethal than a gun. In a close quarters, they're harder to get away from somebody. If you hit them, you might injure yourself, or if you knock somebody's gun away or they have to be far enough away from you that they can get a shot, aim on that with a knife. They can be right up against you and stab it in. So the closer the quarter, a knife becomes much more lethal. What would have happened if no shot was fired? Buddy, that lady in the pink would have either been severely injured or dead. Now, this is this is the mayor of Columbus. Here we go.
Transparency during the investigation.
That investigation will help us determine whether or not there was a violation of any laws, policies, or procedures. And if there were, the officer will be held accountable.
Officer Reardon has been placed on administrative leave for the duration of the investigation. Meanwhile, tonight here in Columbus, civic leaders are calling for calm. Lester?
Okay, Kevin, thank you.
So right there, why was it the mayor saying we support our police officers for protecting our citizens against dangerous attackers who are coming at them with a knife? We will look into the information. We are glad all the officers were not injured. Nobody else was injured in the attack of another person that has been shown coming on the film as we have released the body cam footage. Trying to put this stuff together like they did, in a way that shows, 16-year-old girl got shot by police. Well, maybe had a knife in her hand or something. Oh, we didn't hardly hear about that. Here's the 911 calls that were released that they didn't. They just played a little three-word sentence out of the 911 call. This is what police were told through their dispatchers. What was the situation when they arrived upon the scene.
Hello? It's 3171. Legion Lane.
Is there an apartment number letter? What's going on?
Come up here. The
Ma'am, you need
address
to talk to me.
is 3171. We got these grown girls over here trying to fight us, trying to stab us, trying to put our hands on our grandma. Get here now.
That's the first part. They did not play on Channel 4. Oh, there's somebody trying to stab us. As you just heard on the 911 call coming in. Here we go with some more.
Have you seen any weapons? Ma'am, do you see any weapons?
We need a police officer here now.
Do you see any weapons?
Police officer now.
Ma'am, do you see any weapons?
On the dog trying to hear us. Go!
So there was the 911 call. You didn't hear the one who made the call was not saying, do not send the police over here because they might be a bunch of racists looking to shoot somebody. They said, get over here now. There's somebody trying to stab us. Of that. Now, how long did it take for the police to get there between this time and when they actually arrived on the scene, or when the officer arrived on the scene to fire the fatal shot of the person who had the knife that was getting ready to stab the other person? So this is what you see on slow motion, which is much more different than the real-time frame that you've seen in the body cam deal. This is from the Columbus Police Department press conference. Here we go.
Is your car collecting dust? Share your car on a
Until the ad came on of that.
bill and turn that dust into cash. We make your cars.
The United States isn't waiting. We are resolving.
Okay, got the wrong video on that one. But let's see if I can find the slow motion video going on. Maybe it's this. I think I've got it here. Here's the slow motion video. Yes, now we got the right one. Here we go.
My phone is right there.
I'll get it later. Let's go first.
Shoot a girl. And she ain't coming on your life. She fucking came out
Have a seat. Have a seat.
So you're seeing it in real time on that one. So when you see this on slow motion, the perpetrator almost was within about this far, about 12 inches of stabbing the lady in the pink. They didn't show you that part in the fracas going on. But this is a lady in the pink being escorted back to the cop car after the officer shot the 16-year-old girl who was getting ready to stab her. So here we go.
Tiana, put your hands up.
You want to come sit in my car, please? Come sit in my car, okay? Come. Just come.
Can you get my phone for my mama?
Yeah, I'll get that later. Come sit in my car.
Babe, I didn't do anything.
Just stay right here. Just stay right here.
9201, code 1, put me on the 3 en route.
She just hit me. I just got here. Babe, it's okay. Calm down. It's okay.
Yeah, 200. We need more cars for our witnesses.
Okay, I've got a 10-3 roll. I need more cars.
Have a seat. Have a seat. Real quick.
Don't say nothing.
200, is this still involved?
I do. I understand.
Hey, firm. Have a seat. Have a seat.
Shoot a girl. And she ain't come at you in your life. She fucking came at me.
She came out at you with a knife earlier?
No, she just, that's what the police did.
That lady on the floor?
She came after me.
With a knife?
Yeah, so he got her. Can you please get my phone and stuff, please?
So there you go. The lady didn't say, oh, that cop shot the person that was getting ready to stab me in cold blood. He shouldn't have done that. She said, oh, she was getting ready to stab me and he got her. The lady there in the pink knew she was lucky to be walking back to the cop car with the policeman and not going back either in an ambulance or the coroner being called. She was that close from being a dead woman or severely injured, maybe paralyzed for life. And those sycophants, like LeBron James, who said, we're going to go after you for the police officer that shot the girl with the 16-year-old girl with the knife who's getting ready to stab another woman. You are the ones to blame for the race baiting, the race hustling of that. You are the ones that are the new poverty pimps being educated by Maxine Waters. You're not out there fixing this in the communities you say you care about. LeBron James, you never said, thank God there was a police officer that was there to protect that lady and shot a perpetrator dead. That's what you're not seeing all across the board here. And it's absolutely incredulous. Because let's reverse the situation a little bit. What if the cop would have hesitated? What if the cop would have said, wonder what she's going to do with that knife? You know darn well the rhetoric would have been, if that was a white girl standing there, let's put a white girl in that position. If that was a white girl standing there, you know the cops would have shot her. Because that, you know, if that cop wouldn't have reacted, if that cop would have reacted 0.2 of a second later, that woman would have had a knife in that other person. But it doesn't fit the race baiting narrative. So you don't hear that. And the sad part of that is law enforcement officers can't win. Like I say, no matter how the situation was, and most of the people in the neighborhood and that are fine, but you heard a few out there, and you can go back and look at the videos. Go back and look at the videos of the full tapes that were released, and you hear the people standing out there blaming the police. How could you shoot her? Da 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 da. F word this. at the cops for protecting people in their neighbors in their neighborhood. If we keep this rhetoric up all across the board, or we continue to let it proliferate, we're going to be in deep trouble. If we're going to keep electing representatives like that mayor of Columbus, that mealy-mouthed, well, we're going to look at the police officer and see if anything was done wrong, instead of, thank God the police got there in time to stop a potential killing of an innocent person. Now, I wonder why we're not hearing today of denouncing the lady that made the 911 call asking for police to come. For all you defund the police, cops are criminals. They're just looking to go out and shoot black people. When obviously, and we'll get the timeline on it, but it was obviously before, somebody's calling, and it was just lucky in this situation that the cops got there before a potential tragedy came. Because the situation that happened in Columbus is just a symptom of what's going on in our society today. If we were dealing with reality, this stuff would not be happening at this rate. There was a time and a place where the public representatives would have been backing up the police officer, saying he did what was within procedure. We're looking at it, but there does not appear to be any wrongdoing by the police officer. It appears to be a justified killing. We will launch an investigation into it, but we are glad that someone was not severely injured in this brutal attempt of an attack. I think more people are coming to realize what's going on. A lot of those that are on the woke side. Because you're not seeing, get this, you're not seeing the riots of the day of, a white cop shot a black 16-year-old girl, except from a few kooks like LeBron James and Joe Biden, Jen Psaki, and the crew. We'll play those clips here in a little bit. If Joe Biden thinks that's going to get him reelected, or Kamala Harris, or any other politician running, well, it may in Maxine Waters' district, but that's about all that's going to fly. Because I think most people across the whole United States, and those predominantly in poorer communities, are becoming now some of the biggest supporters of having the police in their areas, because they see this goes on all the time. This is the real world of what goes on. And if LeBron James and Joe Biden want to stop this, then let's deal with the reality of the situation. Most of the violent crime is black on black crime. Just like this situation appeared to be. Almost 50% of all violent crime is mostly committed is black on black crime. Go look at the statistics. Those are from the FBI. That's where you should be increasing law enforcement. You should be increasing police presence in those areas and cleaning that stuff up. You should be organizing and educating in your communities and giving them opportunity, like they had during Trump, where they have jobs, where they have the opportunity to start a business and let it grow without some fool tearing it down, burning it down, and taking all their stuff. You leave people without hope, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get more of this. You're going to get more attacks on that. If we start today like this, rejecting those who are perpetrating violence on those who are trying to right the situation or in charge of protecting us in these situations, then we will be on the road to recovery. Then maybe we got a shot. We keep letting this stuff go. We keep letting this stuff go in these communities, and we will have our own destruction. Here's Charles Payne on Fox News. We're going to play this little clip. I think he said it very well.
History are just night and day from these things. You know, I disagree with Vice President Harris when she said that yesterday's verdict won't heal generations of pain. I think it was a monumental verdict that allows more people to trust the legal system. And if allowing it to work, that would help the healing process if people would allow it to work. But sadly, Vice President Harris and so many others just won't allow our pain to heal.
Charles Payne, and that was his reaction after the Chauvin case, but it applies to the shooting in Columbus too. If Biden and Harris and the race baiters keep rolling this stuff out like that, spreading the hate, spreading the racial divide, going to be pretty. But it is. You're seeing more of this. I played the clip from NBC. ABC and CBS are even turning around. They did a halfway fair report on the Columbus incident. NBC was still holding up the flag of trying to pit us against each other. And the only reason they're pitting us against each other is so we will destroy ourselves from within.
30 seconds.
We're going to have more on this, of how that works and who's been spreading that, of the clips coming up when we come back on KMET here in a few seconds going on. So it will be
10 seconds, here we go.
What we have.
King.com.
Oh, we am Supply King. We got it!
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 KMET, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire in the 4-inch AM band, joining our vast video audience on IE Newswire on Facebook, Twitch, and Jesse's very favorite YouTube. We went through the Columbus shooting on that, and I want to roll back to the White House's reaction to the Derek Chauvin case. First, we're going to play the clip from Jen Psaki, White House press secretary, who was asked a question on that at the news conference of that, and the message she had coming was stunning of how she answered the reporter's question. So here we go with Jen Psaki at the press conference on the Chauvin verdict reaction.
On 16-year-old Micaiah Bryant being shot and killed by police in Columbus, Ohio yesterday. It happened moments before the Chauvin verdict came out.
Yes. I said yes, and let me just say, since you gave me the opportunity, the killing of 16-year-old Micaiah Bryant by the Columbus police is tragic. She was a child. We're thinking of her friends and family and the communities that are hurting and grieving her loss. We know that police violence disproportionately impacts Black and Latino people in communities, and that Black women and girls, like Black men and boys, experience higher rates of police violence. We also know that there are particular vulnerabilities that children in foster care like Micaiah face. And her death came, as you noted, just as America was hopeful of a step forward after the traumatic and exhausting trial of Derek Chauvin and the verdict that was reached. So our focus is on working to address systemic racism and implicit bias head on, and of course to passing laws and legislation that will put much needed reforms into place at police departments around the country.
And has the president been briefed on it?
Yes.
Okay, and then also in Ohio, the family of Tamir.
That little vignette was stunning. Mind you, the Derek Chauvin case verdict just came down, and this was had. You notice she's reading. She had already had a press statement ready to go. And Biden had been briefed on it. So she said it's stunning. Police violence against children? You've got to be kidding. A 16-year-old is coming at somebody with a knife. And then you're trying to say systemic racism? This is coming out of the White House, for crying out loud. From Jen Psaki, the official press secretary for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, saying this is a problem with police going after Latinos and Black boys and girls. You've got to be kidding. Trying to make a victim out of the person that was shot by police officers that had a knife in her hand that was about 2 feet away, foot to 2 foot away from stabbing another human being. And you're trying to run this kind of rhetoric? Man, there's been some jewels in the press secretary game I think Jen Psaki is taking the cake, especially in the United States. There could be no more propaganda trying to twist a situation 180 degrees from the opposite of what it was. Again, you heard zero from Jen Psaki about police officers. Wasn't it fortunate that the police officer stopped a perpetrator who was getting ready to stab another human being? Nothing. Zero out of the White House. It's stunning. And to double down on this, just to reiterate, this is Joe Biden's statement right after the Derek Chauvin verdict. It's almost stunning how the words almost match what Jen Psaki said. Here we go.
It's a murder in the full light of day, and to rip the blinders off for the whole world to see. The systemic racism the Vice President just referred to. The systemic racism is a stain on our nation's soul. The knee on the neck of justice for Black Americans. Profound fear and trauma. The pain, the exhaustion that Black and brown Americans experience every single day. The murder of George Floyd launched a summer of protest.
Was not a summer of protest. It was a summer of rioting and looting on top of that. But notice how the same Black and brown systemic racism. So if Joe Biden, and again, no apologies or any statement supporting the police from President Joe Biden, Jen Psaki, or anyone in the administration. And you wonder why the LeBron James of the world think they can get away with threatening cops? It's because they think Joe Biden has their back. And he probably does. And if you don't think it's all about the dollars, like we pointed out, LeBron James makes millions upon millions off of slave labor in China, selling his shoes and shirts, jerseys, or whatever. Here's another race baiter in chief. This is how he got to the George Floyd press conference. The Reverend Al Sharpton coming up, getting ready to board his private jet. This is Al Sharpton tweeting this. Here. There's Al Sharpton walking to a private jet, going to the George Floyd family press conference. Now, if there's nothing else going on, but pure dollar bills behind this and power and greed, then there's no hope for explaining any of this, of that. Because this is what we've got to combat in our society, is the race hustlers, emeritus, that have been far too long ruining our society with this tripe, with their lies, and their absolute injustice that they're pulling on the American people. Now we're going to talk about the border. Ben Bergquam, we played some of his clips on that. He's been on the border. You've seen a lot of stuff. This is what's going on as written in Frontline America with Ben Bergquam. Terry Donovan writes, Yuma Sheriff Ben Bergquam told Border Patrol is getting worse with the increase of renting kids to cross. Ben Bergquam did a live stream on Monday, interviewed 36-year veteran sheriff of Yuma, Arizona, who slammed the Biden administration for the deaths in the desert and heinous crimes committed due to the enticing borders in the southern border. The Democrats do not have a plan. That is a concern for us. We are concerned with border security. No one wants to see this. This is all cartel-driven, and D.C. won't listen to us. They do not care what we see 2,000 miles along the border are controlled by the cartels, Sheriff Leon Wilmot told Bergquam. The cartels get 6,000 a person, and they have had 90 people in this one area in Yuma, Wilmot told Bergquam. These guys who were crossing in a group, about 12 in a car, were now just in designer clothes, freshly manicured, designer backpacks. It proves what we are being told about the humanitarian reasons that let these people cross over because they are so poor. It is a lie, Bergquam said. There are a lot of Cubans here. We are not getting people from Mexico, Central Romania, Middle East, or Africa, he said. Interviewing Sheriff Leon Wilmot, who said Cuba and Venezuela are overwhelmed with border control. They handle about 200 in the beginning, but now there are 400 per day. They're now doing rotations and quitting, trying to up Border Patrol agents from having to do that. We can get detention people to drive vans and transport people. That leads us to hard narcotics and deaths in the desert because of the trafficking of humans, Wilmot said. We've had an MS-13 gang member with felony warrant for his areas to hold on to him in the facility Yuma sector, has several fraudulent family unitees. People are renting kids. Border agents know what they are doing. We have been through this before. We need to do more DNA so we do not facilitate smuggling of kids, he told Bergquam. This is what's going on the border from Joe Biden and his team that are letting kids used as decoys coming across the border, and then once they're in, then they reunite with their families in a fake deal, getting $6,000 of copy are the cartels for each person that's coming across. Again, I wonder how much Hunter Bagman Biden of the Biden crime family is getting of green material and brown paper sacks. Well, it's estimated it's up to a $3 billion industry now, just the cartels smuggling human trafficking, sex trafficking, and according to Yuma, Arizona Sheriff Wilmot, the United States government is aiding and abetting this. there could be no more criminal activity going on than this. And again, this is not Roy. Not even Donald Trump. This is the sheriff of Yuma County, Arizona, saying the United States government is involved in human trafficking. There should be hearings held. There should be indictments, prosecutions of any government official starting. If you talk about impeachment, Joe Biden ought to be impeached for this immediately. They're the ones that let the floodgates open. Come on in. As it was at the press conference, where Jen Psaki was asked, well, what's going on here? Da, 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 da. We're hearing reports. I interviewed the mother of a 9 and 10-year-old that sent their kids from Guatemala by themselves on a walking journey, which, thousands of miles? Because Joe Biden said, come on in. They're flocking across the border. They're back to ruining our cities, ruining our states, ruining our country. This is what's happening in Naco, Arizona. You won't believe this. This is another report from Ben Bergquam. Here we go.
Check this place out right here. Actually, I want to give you a shot of it. You're going to notice that little, right behind me off my left shoulder, that little structure right there. That is a 4-story tall narco house. That's where the coyotes are stationed. And come check this out. I mean, this is crazy. Border Patrol told me this when they built this new 30-foot high wall right here. So we got the 18-footer on this side, and that building right here, big old compound, used to be 2 stories. Now it's 4 stories. This is where they stage people. You can see where they've cut down that concertina wire, and they bring people across. They wait for shift change till Border Patrol moves. But this is, I just asked him, he said, yeah, that's a straight up narco house right there. And he said once they built this new wall, they just started adding floors on to that building. So you can see it there. I'm gonna do a little shot through the fence there. This is cartel narco trafficking right here. These guys are making money on every single person that comes across, whether it's drug trafficking or sex trafficking. Right here, check this out. Let me zoom in. Straight up narco house. Right there. That is put there by the cartels to be able to traffic into America. When the left says they're for open borders, all they're for is more of that. More cartel traffic, more drug trafficking, more human trafficking. Let me walk you right over here. How close, just show you how close this Naco community is. Everybody who lives over here, their life is put in danger. I spoke to one resident here, Jerry. He was actually a police officer and a firefighter. Before this wall and the original wall was put into place in the 90s, it was constant traffic, illegals coming across. And then after the wall was put up, basically stopped. The left doesn't want you to know that. They don't want you to know the truth. That's why we're here reporting it.
There you see the report from Ben Bergquam. The wall as the resident and former police officer who lived right next door to it said. And we've had thousands of reports of this. Once the wall was up, trafficking stopped. Now they're coming across all of these areas that don't have walls. They're cutting holes in through the walls. I think there's thousands of miles now where they're coming across the border. Let me take you back a couple of years before Trump was in. Oh, we can patrol the border with technology and drones. There's no need for a wall. Your technology has failed. You have failed. And the one thing that worked, Joe Biden, one of the main things that worked, let's put it more succinctly, the wall, Joe Biden put a stop to soon as he was sworn in. Now his administration's saying, well, maybe that was a mistake. Maybe we should start filling in the gaps in the wall, yada, 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 after we have this crisis going on. Well, duh. When you hire guys like Javier Baccaria, former Attorney General here in California, now your HHS Secretary, who's about dumber than a box of rocks, which is starting to leak out now that he's in the District of Criminals. People are thinking, even some of the staffers are saying, this guy is about, rocks are more intelligent. You have those types of people leading your administration because you're trying to run a narrative that you're all-inclusive, you're doing this. No, exactly what you're doing is hosing the people that are most affected by this. And across from the Imperial Valley, California, through Arizona, into Texas, all across the border with Mexico. In almost every county from 16 to 20, Trump gained double digits in support because they seen the effects on their community when the Border Patrol was empowered, when the wall went up, crime went down. They felt safe in their communities. Communities started flourishing like Chula Vista, California, when a guy named Bill Clinton built the wall down there back in the 90s. And Chula Vista, California went from a hellhole to a thriving community. All this either hate rhetoric or happy talk or disingenuous stuff that comes out of the White House on down. I think, and I hope, starting in California, the recall of that ding-a-ling gulag Gavin Newsom is going to start a revolt bigger than the Tea Party in 2010 after we made the mistake of Barack Obama as president. And then, if you take back to 2017, I believe the number was 62. 62 House seats, switch parties. And that was Republican, but remember, the Republicans and a lot are in cahoots with a lot of this stuff. We have to stop looking at party. We have to start looking at people. and who is actually going to do the work of the people, like Sheriff Wilmot down in Yuma, Arizona. Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida. Kristi Noem, South Dakota. We need to start electing leaders like that, regardless of party, going against the establishment in their own parties. I don't care what political affiliation you have, we need to start electing representatives who have integrity, who have ethics. And that's how we get out of this situation. And I hope if there's a big sweep coming starting in 2021, recalling Gulag Gavin, and then the midterms in 2022, we start sweeping these out regardless of their Democrats, Republicans, or anything else. We'll be back tomorrow. Do this all again in 23 hours. So until a ferocious Friday, see ya.